Hello, I am Mystic Orange and this is video hashtag 648. In this video, I want to review a show from 2011 called The 99. But before we get into that, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I also would like to mention a few things. As of right now, while I'm doing this video, my channel right now has 592 subscribers, which means I'm almost reaching 600 subscribers milestone. And if I do reach the 600 milestone, I might do a Q&A. So if you have any questions for me, put down in the comments. I'm excited for this, and let's get back into this video. So first thing first, what is the 99? I did research about the show beforehand, but I didn't want to watch it blindly. So what it seemed like a sci-fi fantasy. It seemed like a superhero TV show. I think the original is in Arabic, but this is English dubbed. And in this channel, I only review English dubbed cartoons. And I do believe this has comic version. This show does have 2 seasons, but I've only managed to watch the first season. I can't find the second season anywhere. The first season will be on YouTube. I will try to link the playlist in my description and comment section. Just so you know, I did watch it and it's really good. And it's a bummer that I can't watch season 2 because it's really good. I want to watch season 2 of the show. So if you can find an easy way to watch season 2, share us in the comments. Let us know how we can watch it. I think in the first season, it starts off with 17, protagonists. 17 characters with, different powers and abilities. And I think it's an interesting concept about this show. Because, each character has node stones. So node stones are like magical stones made of light. They're meant to help, protect the world and, save from, selfish people. And I think this is a pretty interesting way to look at people who are evil and good. I do think some powers are more interesting than others. For example, Nora the light can see the light inside people or darkness inside people to tell if someone's has good or bad intentions. I also think it's pretty interesting because it's based on a religion background. It's based on the Islamic religion. Well, there's 99 names of Allah. I'm glad though that in this show they don't go too wild with religious themes here, because I think that would be really depressing and boring. I feel like most shows based on religious themes tend to, present themselves morally righteous, and you have to be this way, and it's not fun. There are previous shows that I've reviewed, that seem to be like this. Like 321 Penguins is based on our Christian religion. And similarly, shows like 1001 Nights and Lily and Lola and 16 Hudson also present religious themes from Islam. And while it's pretty fun with these shows, it can be like being lectured by an religious educator or something, even for a minor role. But what I like about this show is it doesn't go ham on the religious themes. It just it takes the inspiration from the concept of the 99 names of Allah, and it just presents it as superpowers to certain characters. And honestly, this is probably the fun way to do it. And the viewers don't have to be feel like you know they don't have to be scrutinized while watching a show. It can just be fun and that's it. And honestly, this is a pretty interesting way to take religion. Like nothing has to be the serious because there are other concepts that are portrayed in like media in a really fun, unique way. Like for example, the seven deadly sins. That's used in like media in most fun ways, and it doesn't need to be treated like, oh, this is how you need to be or whatever. It just yeah. So I do like that show. The show did this. Anyway, the show is called The 99. If you didn't know the concept or the meaning, you would think this title is pretty like weird and too short. It just says The 99. I do think renaming the show would be beneficial. Calling it the 99 TV series would be better. Because, it does seem a little bit generic to call it the 99, but it is also a fun concept just by, knowing what it is based on. However, in this show, we do, well, there are 99 neurostones with 99 powers. However, we don't have that many, characters because thank God, that would be too many. But also, like in the first season, we only start off with like 17 characters with 17 different powers, as well as 17 different Nullstones. That itself is pretty a lot, but that's nothing new. I think there's a lot of shows with like big amount of characters. So I don't mind that. There are shows that can do this. Like for example, Total Drama. Like that show has like a lot of different main characters, and that also shows like a fun concept with so many characters, as well as some like live action shows like The Dumping Ground or Tracy Beaker Returns, or another show called The Loud House. Those shows have like so many characters, but they do it in a fun way that they are memorable. Some may appear more like recognizable than others. It can be a flaw though, like with that many characters. Some might feel like they aren't well written or well thought out, or we don't get that much screen time on them. I do have a theory that they were planning to expand the characters. I think in season two we have more characters. As I did a little bit of research. I'm seeing characters that I don't recognize, but I'm also aware like it's possible that they were planning on having like season three, season four onwards, and we're getting more characters. I think that's the idea. But this show was around like 2011 to 2013. I think I bet they canceled the show because that's what it looks like. I also think like this show has a similar finale concept as some other shows. In the finale, we do leave on a cliffhanger on the character named villain named Regal, and we do get to see him in future season. I bet. I haven't seen season two, but knowing from the last episode of the 99 in the first season, we can bet he's gonna return in future seasons. But I think there are shows that do similar things like that, but they will leave a cliffhanger and they will present a villainous character still living on. I know a show that does this called Magi Nation. Well, there's this character called Agram. Magi Nation only had like 2 seasons, but in every last finale of the seasons, we will, see what he's doing, what he's like at the end. And that show, ended on like season 2, and we still had that last bit of the episode where like Agram is cackling, and he sees the vortex to Earth. So like fans have the idea that season 3 would be very Earth focused. But we haven't had any new season from Magi Nations, so fans think Magi Nation got cancelled. And this is how I feel about like the 99. It's possible it got cancelled by the second season, which I do think is a shame for a show like the 99 or Magi Nation, because they have fun concepts and they do seem like they want to continue on the seasons. And because of the potential of this title, I would have to give it 4 out of 5 stars. I think my least favorite thing about the show is probably the art style or animation. Don't get me wrong, I think they have unique designs of the characters or whatever. I just think it's the animation itself. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It feels like, Sims characters. It just feels play-doh-y, and the characters don't emote well. Like if they're emotional, they're not really crying or whatever. It's not all that expressive, in my opinion. But at least it's colorful and bright. That's all good. But the animation tanks it really badly. And I would have to give the animation or art style like 1 out of 5 stars. I would like to add other things to my review about this show. It does remind me of other shows I've reviewed, like Ruby and, 50/50 Heroes. Well, it does remind me of Ruby because, it also has like a large ensemble of casts of characters with, unique semblances, powers, weapons, and yeah, that also has unique concepts, as well as 50/50 Heroes with, unique power ideas. So this is something I like about the 99 show, is that it's very creative and it seems really fun. That being said, I've only watched the first season, and knowing about some of these characters, I do feel like their powers can overlap with each other. Like, for example, the first example we have is Jabbar the Powerful and Momita the Destroyer. I feel like these two can overlap with each other because they're both like fighters. Both Jabbar and Momita can destroy anything. But it does feel like Jabbar has the upper hand because, he's very tough and big, and, he rarely gets hurt by anything because, he's so powerful. He reminds me of a character from Ruby called Hazel, who does have that big strength energy, and, he barely gets injured. Or if he does get injured, it doesn't really affect him. So it does feel like Momita the Destroyer feels redundant because she doesn't really have that upper hand and she's just the Destroyer. Like, she can damage things, but there's nothing else for her. So really, Momita doesn't feel like she's needed because, Jabbar could just take over what she can do. But then we have Rakib the Watcher. He basically has super senses. He can, super see things, super hear things. However, I also feel like his power feels redundant because I feel like a character named Nora also has the ability to like see other things. She basically has light manipulation, and she can interfere what people can see. So therefore, Rakib the Watcher feels like redundant here. And then we have Mujiba the responder. So basically, what she can do is like she can analyze anything. She can just get information in her head. She has the knowledge. She's basically the group genius, the smart one, the encyclopedia. She's basically like the dictionary of the group. But then you have characters like Jami the assembler. Well, he's not technically a genius. Like he's not the same level as he's not the same level as Mujiba. Where they're both intellectuals, but like uh, sometimes Jami, struggles to understand emotions. What Jami can do is work with technology. He can create and craft technology. So basically, he can get information on anything in anywhere. So Mujiba feels useless here. And then we have Hadia the guide. She's basically a pathfinder. She's like the Scooby Doo gang. She can find things anywhere. But also, like anyone else can fulfill her role. Like if she's the one that, can find things, there are other characters that can, do what she can do. Like Nora the Light, with her light powers, she is basically can, find things using her light. And then you have Rakib the Watcher, with super senses and super hearing. He could probably pick up the location of, what the characters are trying to find. And then you have a Jami the Assembler who can, probably create technology to find, the things they're looking for. And then Mujiba Responder, the group encyclopedia, she basically has knowledge for anything. So she will probably know where things are. So over here, Hadia would feel redundant. I actually don't mind Alim the All-Knowing. He's basically the fortune teller, the one that can sense the future. He is basically the intuition kind of guy. And then we have Batina the Hidden. She's basically the invisible girl. That's her power. But Nora basically can do this with her light powers. So Batina feels useless from existing. And honestly, Nora feels OP with her powers. She can basically do anything what the others can't do. Like with her light powers, she can shine bright things. She can, change people's perception with her light, make them invisible or somehow. And then she has the ability to, see people if they're good or not. Like see the light inside them or see darkness in them. And then we have Barry the healer. He's basically the one, heals people. When they're feeling poorly, he can probably heal them. But then we have Dar the afflictor. He can give pain, but he can also take pain. I think it's a bad idea to have Dar to take pain, because why does he need to have that power? And then we have Base the Ascender. He basically can teleport objects. Sure, why not? But we already have Fatah the Opener who can teleport things. So overall, I feel like some characters overlap with each others, and some characters feel less redundant with their powers. And some characters like Nora, they feel OP with their powers. So that's the point I wanted to make, with these characters. Also, this might be because of the first season. There are certain characters who I feel like don't have time to shine. Especially the ones that, arrived late to the season. We don't get enough information on Jalil the Majestic, who basically has fire powers, and then there's Barry the Healer, who basically can heal people. So I don't think we get enough story with them. Also, sometimes you don't see some of these characters going in certain missions. You feel like some characters are going in more missions than others. Like initially in the first half, probably the most half of season one, I would see Dar the Afflictor, nearly most of these episodes. But in the later half of these seasons, I don't see him. And at some point, you would think Dar is the main, protagonist because he's the main character. He's the first character we see, so you'd think he's the main protagonist of the show. So it's hard to tell who's the main protagonist sometimes. Also, like in the end, the last episode of season one, I feel that Jabbar got the most attention at the end, which I think is a poor way to, make the finale. I think if you're gonna have a finale of the show, I feel like they all should have come together to, have a final showdown at the, main villain. The main villain was Rugal, and, he was pretty interesting as a villain. And he had henchmen too, who were pretty interesting themselves. They all backstabbed each other. I also think this show is pretty interesting as well. Like this show goes really hard with like deep things with deep stories. They even have like characters dying. I'm not gonna say who dies, but that really shows like the quality of the show. Like these people really put their heart and soul to this. They're good at having emotional scenes in this show. They also have like a variety of different characters. You have characters who are possibly in the autism spectrum, such as Jamie the Assembler, but we do have characters with physical disabilities, like Dar the Afflictor. So this show is really diverse, especially with race. I think racially they are diverse. I wish there was more diversity on the designs, like because of the designs, everyone feels like white or pale. But we do get to see characters from different countries, like characters from Spain, from Portugal to America to China to Indonesia. We got a wide variety. But it would be nice if we had other representation. I do feel like the black characters are very limited in this show, so that's a point there. Honestly, there's so many fun things to talk about. You can talk about other flaws and strengths of the show, but in the end, it's really fun to talk about. The plot twist of the villain is also really fun. You can never know. Like from my first watching the show, I could never know like who's the bad guy, who the good guy is, and that's I mean that in a good way. Like the plot twist of who the real villain is just a peak, and this is really great. I think I talked length about the show, and that says a lot. I mean, what can I say? This is like top tier shows I've watched for a long time now. And because of this, I can't give it higher than 5 out of 5 stars. Anyway, I talked length about the show, and I really had fun watching it. So I do recommend the show to everyone else. So what do you think? Have you watched it? Let us know what you think. Would you watch it yourself? Again, the playlist is in my description, so you know where to look. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, and have a lovely day.